Mark Minervini managed to achieve 334.8% in the US Investing Championship in 2021. So if we take a look at this standing over here, in the Money Manager division where it's only for accounts more than $1 million, and in that account you can see that Mark Minervini achieved a return of 334.8%. So how did Mark Minervini achieve the kind of incredible returns that he did in the US Investing Championship in 2021? Lucky for us, Mark Minervini was generous enough to share some of the trades that he took on his route to achieving his triple-digit returns in 2021. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at Mark Minervini's US Investing Championship 2021 trades. But before we begin, if you are new to this channel, my name is Linus, and in this channel I share all things related to the stock market, so both investing and trading. If you want more videos such as this, make sure you subscribe to my channel because each week I release 2 new videos about investing, trading, and the stock market. Alright, so let's first take a look at the audited statement provided by Mark Minervini on his website over here. So you can see that this is Mark Minervini's 2021 performance in the US Investing Championship. So if we scroll down over here and take a look, this is Mark Minervini's monthly performance in the US Investing Championship in 2021. So you can see his monthly returns in the stock market during the championship, and it totaled up to a staggering 338.4% returns. And if we continue scrolling down over here, these are the ticker symbols that Mark Minervini traded in 2021. So you can see over here, there were quite a number of symbols over here. So Mark Minervini definitely traded in a lot of stocks in 2021. And over here on top of the ticker symbols, Mark Minervini also provided the entry dates he went into these individual stocks. So let's take a look at this sample of trades and try to analyze them. So over here, I compile all the ticker symbols together with the entry dates that Mark Minervini provided, and also include the price charts along with my analysis of his individual trades. The first trade that we'll analyze is BioNTech. So he entered the stock on June 2nd. So over here, I included the price chart up to the point where he entered the stock. So the candlestick at the most right is on June 2nd. And the reason why I include the price chart only up to the point of his entry date is so that we can see the same chart that he was seeing when he first entered the trade. And hopefully that will give us a better understanding of why he entered the trade. So for this trade on BioNTech, we see that he combined 2 of his main trading strategy. The first is the VCP pattern and the second the power play strategy. Some of these terms that you are hearing in this video might seem unfamiliar to you, and that is why I recommend you reading Mark Minervini's books first before watching this video. To provide a quick overview of what the power play strategy is, a power play strategy is when prices increase by more than 100% in just a short period of time, specifically less than 2 months. So over here you can see prices were at a price level of around below $100, and in the space of around 1 month, prices managed to more than double, so more than 100% increase. So this is a power play strategy. And then you can see that after prices make a move of more than 100%, prices move sideways and pause for a while. And then you can see after that, other than the shakeout over here. In fact, this shakeout over here is a good thing because it means that there will be investors getting shaken out over here. And then you can see that immediately after this shakeout, prices managed to tighten up quite a bit over here. So that was prices displaying the VCP pattern characteristic. Another thing is the volume. As prices were increasing over here, you can see also volume picking up over here. And then as prices pause over here and form a base, you can see that volume also starts to decline over here. So it's the VCP pattern characteristic that you want to look out for. And then on the day of the breakout over here where Mark Minervini entered his position in BioNTech, you can see that volume also start to pick up a bit and the RS line is at its all-time highs. And the fundamentals for BioNTech was also very good at that point in time. So this earnings over here was back in May 2021. So as you can see from May 2021, earnings for the previous quarter increased by more than 2000% year over year, and sales also increased more than 7000% year over year. And we also see earnings per share and sales increasing quarter over quarter. So that's for BioNTech. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one is Heska. So for Heska, he entered his position on June 4th. So this was on June 4th. So at the right side, we have this base over here. But before this base was formed, we had the pirate uptrend, which was in stage 2. So that was the stage 2 criteria being met. And then prices form this base and start to tighten up over at the right side of the base. And you can see that as prices tighten up on the right side of the base, volume also starts to come down over here. On the day Mark Minervini entered his position in Heska, the price action looks a bit sloppy to me. But then again, maybe Mark Minervini was seeing something that I wasn't seeing. So that was for his entry point over here. And if we take a look at some of the fundamentals, so the most recent fundamentals that we had at that time was in May 2021. So as we take a look at the May 2021 earnings, we can see that for both earnings per share and for sales, both managed to increase year over year, but both decreased for their quarter over quarter performance. So I'm assuming for this trade, he was paying more attention to the technical action rather than the fundamentals. So that's for Heska. Let's take a look at the next trade. So the next trade we have Too Simple. I'm not sure whether I'm pronouncing this right, but he entered the position on June 8. So this was on June 8. So by taking a look at the price chart, you know that this is an IPO stock. And as you can see, Mark Minervini did not buy on the IPO day. Instead, he waited for the stock to form a proper IPO base first. And in this case, the IPO base took 2 months to form before he entered his position in the stock. So if we draw a pivot line across this area over here, so we take our tool over here and we draw a pivot line. So let me adjust it accordingly. Yes, so this will be our pivot point. So I'm assuming that Mark Minervini is also looking at this same pivot point, and then when the stock break out from this pivot point, he entered his position. And you can see that after he entered his position, the stock went up by more than 10% in just a single day. So that's the power of using the VCP pattern. And you can see that on the breakout day, the RS line was also at its all-time highs. The only comment that I have over here is that at this pivot point, you can see that prices were wedging up a bit. So that's for his too simple trade. If you get the pun, you get it, right? Okay, so the next one we'll take a look at is Apple. So he entered Apple stock on June 17. So this was on June 17. Apple was forming a base pattern over here, and you can see that it was displaying the VCP pattern characteristics, both in terms of price contraction and volume contraction. So if we take a look over here, it forms a VCP pattern as we have mentioned earlier on, and this base over here that Apple formed was a 6 months base. And you can see that at the bottom of this base over here, volume was lower than usual. So that's a good thing because it tells us at the bottom of the base, prices have found support and there are not many more sellers out there. So Mark Minervini bought over here, which was slightly lower than the actual handle area. So I'll probably say that this is a cheat area. So that was for his Apple trade. The next trade that we'll take a look at is Moderna. So over here, we again had the VCP pattern. So if you notice a common element for all of Mark Minervini's trades, he only trades a stock when the stock display a VCP pattern characteristic. So you can see that he was very consistent with the type of stocks that he trades. So we had the first price contraction over here, the second price contraction over here, and the third price contraction over here. And over here, we had a mini cup and handle pattern in a bigger VCP pattern. So you can see that it was a pattern within a pattern. And we take a look at the fundamentals at the time back in May 2021. Earnings per share and sales both increased massively over the previous quarter and over the previous year. So you see earnings per share percentage increase year over year was 911%. And for the sales percentage change year over year, it was more than 4 digits. So sales and earnings per share was increasing quarter over quarter and year over year. So that's for Moderna. Now let's take a look at the next one. So the next one is Skyline stock. So he entered the stock on July 30th. And for this one, we also see the VCP pattern characteristic. So we see here the price contractions, and then we see volume declining from the left side to the right side. On the earnings day, prices gap up over here, and you can see the gap up taking place on above average volume. So this tells us that there was institutional demand buying up the stock. And then after prices gap up, prices did not manage to fill the gap. So this is a good thing because this means that there is not a lot of profit taking on the stock. And you can see that within the base and this pause over here, there was not much selling if any. In fact, the only above average volume on the down day was this day over here. And then other than that, all the other above average volume happened on up days. And as prices tighten up at the right side over here, Mark Minervini bought over at this small candlestick over here. And on the day he bought, the RS line was at its all-time highs. And if you take a look at the fundamentals back in May 2021 was also very positive. So earnings per share and sales was increasing year over year and quarter over quarter. So that's for Skyline. Now let's take a look at Nucor. So over here, we had the stage 2 uptrend before prices form a base and a cup and handle pattern. But if you take a look at the right side over here where Mark Minervini bought, you'll see that this was actually just below a proper handle point. So this was more a cheat area rather than a handle. And if we take a look at this base over here, it was also forming constructive patterns. The first one is we take a look at this undercut over here. So an undercut in the base is good, especially if prices can recover very quickly and go back above the undercut area. An undercut is good because it shakes out the wick holders. And you can see that for the bottom of the base over here, there wasn't much selling. And for fundamentals, if we take a look at July 2021, we see that earnings per share and sales was increasing quarter over quarter and year over year. In fact, for year over year, earnings per share managed to increase a staggering 1,333% and sales managed to increase by more than 103% year over year. So those are some really good numbers. So that's for Nucor stock. Next, let's take a look at Pensick. So Mark Minervini entered this stock on the 1st of September. So over here, we see the VCP pattern characteristic once again. At the bottom of the base over here, we have above average volume. So this tells us that there's institutional support for the stock at the bottom of the base. And as prices move up the base, we also see prices tightening up along the way. And then this was where Mark Minervini entered his position in the stock. So for the July 2021 earnings, we see that earnings also increased year over year and quarter over quarter. So for the next stock, it's Tesla. So Mark Minervini entered Tesla on 24th of September. So this was the candlestick that he entered at. And in this base, we see that Tesla was also forming a VCP pattern. So we had the price contraction over here. And then we also had volume contraction from the left side to the right side. And as Tesla reaches the top of the base over here at the right side, you see that there was very little selling coming into Tesla stock. And this tells us that with just a little demand, prices can move up and move up very quickly. And that is what we saw in Tesla stock late 2021. The next stock that we'll take a look at is Olin. Mark Minervini entered on October 11. And again, we had the same VCP pattern characteristic where prices were contracting and volume was also declining from the left side to the right side. And you can see that towards the right side of the base, prices really tightened out a lot. And volume also dried up at the right side of the base. So this was very constructive VCP pattern. And for its fundamentals, we see that earnings per share and sales both increased year over year and quarter over quarter. So from all of these trade examples that Mark Minervini shares with us with the trades that he took in the 2021 US Investing Championship, you'll see that a lot of them share the same characteristics and also the price chart look very similar to one another. And Mark Minervini's incredible performance in the US Investing Championship in 2021 shows you the power of being focused and getting really good at one particular strategy. So hopefully you have enjoyed and learned something from this video. If you did, smash that like button because it will really help the channel grow and allow me to produce more content such as this. I'll see you in the other videos. To your financial success.